My name is Carrie Griggs, and I would just like to share my story with you of how I came to know Jesus and about His working in my life. I was a teenager when I first heard the gospel message. Growing up, I went to church, but I never heard why Jesus was on the cross. And I used to see pictures of Him on the cross, and I would wonder why He was on the cross. But I did not hear that at the churches that I went to. So in 2013, something went wrong, and I felt a large painful something in my left side, and it was like it just kind of came up overnight. I couldn't get around it. I had to have the surgery, so we went through with it. And when the tumor in my kidney was removed, it was found out to be malignant kidney cancer. But the doctor thought that he had gotten it all. So I thought, well, that's good. I had it, but it's gone, and now I can just heal up and get on with my life. And for 2 years, things went well. I was healing up great, and I went back to work, and no problems. But in 2015, I started having pain on my left side again. And I went back to the doctor, and I was told that the cancer had come back, and there was nothing that could be done except a pill that was like chemotherapy and a pill. And I read the list of side effects, and it was very long, and they were very bad, and I didn't want to do that. And I told the doctor I'd rather not do that. But I did start trying some natural things that I heard could help with cancer. I was also praying that God would heal me. And I was reading a lot. I was reading a lot of other people's stories about being healed from cancer. And I thought, well, I believe God is going to heal me too. And I prayed, and I didn't get healed. Not when I wanted to. I wanted to get healed real fast, and that wasn't happening for me. So I became angry at God because I knew that He could heal me, but I didn't know why He wasn't healing me. So I turned my back on God, and that was not a good thing to do, but I did. And I stopped going to church, and I stopped communicating with people. I became very antisocial, and I wouldn't answer the phone after a while because people were concerned about me, but I just didn't want to talk. And I was in that pit, and everything was so dark. My thoughts, my mind was not right. I was very judgmental of people. I would ride down the street. Sometimes my husband would just take me for rides to get me out of the house. And I would just see people walking down the street, and my mind would just be thinking bad, judgmental thoughts about them. And I'd catch myself, and I'd think, I don't even know these people. I don't know why I'm thinking these bad thoughts. But it was like I couldn't control the negativism. And I did not like it, but I was bound, and I couldn't help myself. I wanted to. I got to the point where I wanted to be free of whatever had this dark hold on me, and I couldn't break free. So after living like that for almost 3 years, I felt totally hopeless. And I just did not want to live anymore. I didn't like living like that. And I just didn't want to live anymore. And I had some prescription medication that was supposed to help me sleep, and some for some other problem. And I'm honestly forgetting what the other was about, but I got some of both of those medications, and I decided one Sunday morning that I would take my life. My husband had gone down to the river to pray and read his Bible, and I got the pills, and I got a handful of them. And before I took them, I said, Lord, forgive me. And I took them, and I went back upstairs and got in bed. So he came home that day, and he thought I was taking a nap. And after a while, he realized that I guess it was going on too long, and he tried to wake me up, and he could not. So he called 911, and I was rushed to the emergency room, and they pumped my stomach, and they kept me at the hospital for about 3 days. And a doctor came to talk to me, and he said, you're going to have to go to a mental hospital. I wouldn't know how I'd be treated or anything, but I had to go. So I went, and it wasn't as bad as I thought, but it wasn't good either. I could tell that the people, if they thought you were crazy, they treated you like you were less than human. So that didn't feel good at all, but at least no one tried to hurt me in any way, and I know that God was with me. I didn't know it at the time, but I know it now. And I was there for about 5 days, and I received a little bit of counseling, and the lady who counseled me said that if I didn't deal with whatever was bothering me, medication would not help me at all. And I knew that. I knew that in my heart, because I knew that my problem was spiritual. I knew that I was angry at God, and that He was the only one who could help me. So I just watched TV. I kept watching, but one day, on Saturday, July 14th, 2018, Anthony had to go to work, and my son also had to go to work. So I was at home alone, and I was watching a Hallmark movie this day. And very clearly the words came to my mind, turn to channel 12. And I thought that was strange, but I did it because I was curious. I didn't know what was on channel 12, but I wanted to see why these words had come to my mind. So I turned to channel 12, and when I did, Joyce Meyer was on, and she is a Christian author, and she talks to large audiences about Jesus. And when I turned to channel 12, she was right at the point in her message whereby she was saying, I'm speaking to those of you now who are watching me on TV. And I thought, okay, I'm watching her on TV. And then she said, some of you have considered suicide. And that kind of hit me hard. I thought, well, I've not only considered suicide, I've tried it. And I felt like God was speaking to me, so I really started listening very well to what she had to say. And I listened to the remainder of her message, and when it was over, I felt the need to pray, and I did pray. And I prayed, and I said, Lord, I'm sorry. I've been angry at you. Would you please forgive me? And I prayed, would you please restore my sound mind to me? And immediately, I knew something was different about me. And I realized that my mind had been restored. My sound mind had been restored to me, because I was thinking clearly. My thoughts were not dark. I felt like I used to feel before I was depressed. And then I realized that I was happy. I realized that joy had come back to my heart. And I felt so good. I hadn't felt that good in so long. And I knew God had done something special for me. And I also realized that He had forgiven me. And God did a miracle for me. He delivered me that day, and I will never forget that. And I give him all the glory and all the honor and all the praise because he did it, and he did it for me. And I would just like to say to anyone listening to me that I messed up big time. I went against God willingly, but he forgave me, and he will do that same thing for you. But you need to know him. His name is Jesus. And if you don't know him, you need to come to him as a sinner, just as you are, because he died on the cross for your sins, and he was buried and he rose again. He also shed his precious sinless blood to wash away your sins. And if you believe this gospel message and receive him into your heart just by a simple prayer, he will save you just like he did me. That's my story. Thank you.